Jesus talks about good trees that give good or bad fruits. So let's just start with you and me, because he says that a good tree gets eternal life. A bad tree gets cut down and thrown in the fire. And you will know which is good and which is bad by its fruits. So he's talking about my life, your life, my actions, your actions. And we can look at our lives to see whether they're pleasing God or not by simply looking at what are the fruits. What's around us? What do we have to show? On the other hand, we hear Paul talking about bad fruits and using this body, this tree, my body, your body, for doing good or doing bad. Being a slave to the flesh and sensual pleasures, or using this body, the great gift that God gives us, with mortification. That means putting the body's desires that are disordered, putting them, killing them, so that this body can be a slave of God, as Paul says here. He says, we're weak in the flesh. Over and over, maybe every day, remind yourself of these three enemies you have, and it's called enemies for a reason. The devil, the world, your flesh. We need to just be honest. They're enemies. Who likes enemies? I have enemies. I don't like enemies. You can't trust your enemies. Enemies are out to get you, to destroy you, to cause you problems. Enemies do not have your best interest in mind. They have this evil desire to cause you problems. Okay? That's why they're enemies. So our flesh is our enemy unless we mortify it and allow it to be slaves of God. It says, before you were slaves of uncleanliness. So all the sexual sins, all the other bad things we did with our body, allowed our body to do. It says, Paul says, we need to be slaves to God. Instead of slaves to sin, it says, we need to be, he said, but now set free from sin, become slaves to God. This body, you have to tell it what to do. It always wants pleasure, laziness, food, fun. That's all it wants. But when you give in to all that, as Paul says it very clearly here, he says the wage of sin is death. So you just give in to your body and what you want. So many people have terrible sexual diseases. They have, they're dying of AIDS, suffering terribly from AIDS, dying from, or living a very sad life from diabetes, from all these things that when we give in to the flesh, Paul's very clear, death is the fruit of giving in to your body's desires. It is. Two kinds of death. First, problems with our bodies in this life. And third, the horrible eternal death where this body and this soul is tortured forever in hell. As Jesus said in the gospel, he says, every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. This week I go up here and get my car washed, and so I don't use my air conditioner, I just open the windows. But so anyway, you have to close the windows, you go through the car wash, and it's hot in there. And I go, and there's no air in the car. And you have to go through, it takes like around maybe 2 minutes. And try this. Just right now after Mass, go in your car. Don't put the air conditioning on. And just sit there for a few seconds and see if you like it. It's horrible. There's no air in the car. We need to remind ourselves, it's terrible. And people don't worry at all about it. They don't. It's like, well, I'll suffer later on. I'll do what I want now, and I'll suffer later on. Because I don't think it'll ever happen. It's like, I'll buy things now, and I'll pay for it later on. I'm not going to worry about later on payments. When the payments come, whoops, here you go, now you got to work hard, yeah, but I got right now what I wanted. And then you're paying and paying and paying for a long time. You're suffering. So, who goes to heaven? Who's doing or giving good fruits? Jesus says, the one who's doing the will of the Father. We're going to say the Our Father today. The Our Father says, thy will be done. We're going, Our Father, thy will be done. We're asking that we can do the Father's will, like Jesus says. Now, Jesus also says that there are false prophets. Jesus says that. A prophet is someone who belongs to at that time it was the Israelite religious. And today we have those who belong to the Catholic Church. And Paul clearly talks about it too. Often he says, men will rise up and they'll say things for the itchy ears and people will like it and they'll go along with that. And all the time he talks about false apostles that come and take advantage of stuff. Jesus is saying that. You think, well, no, that only happened back there. It never happened anymore. Jesus' gospel doesn't have any relevance to today. No. There will always be false prophets rising up. And we have to be very aware of them. And how are we aware of them? Jesus gives the answer. Look at the fruits. Look at the fruits of their lives. Look at the fruits in the church. Look at the fruits everywhere. In our families, in our schools, in our government, everywhere. Look at the fruits. The great thing that the devil uses is, don't judge. Everyone says, don't judge. You're living together, you're not married in the church. Oh, don't judge them. Oh, they're doing this, don't judge them. No, Jesus is saying, judge their fruits. Now, you don't know. Say someone walks by. You don't know them, you know what? Well, you're not going to be able to judge them. But if you know them, you see their life, you see their house, you see their family, you see them at church, you see them, you can know what their fruits are. Look at their fruits. If you see holiness, purity, peace, order, love, then you know there's good fruits. That's a good tree. This body is a good tree that is used for God, that's doing God's will. If you see anything else, they're not. So it's just, but the only people we try to hide the bad fruits from is ourselves. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna, I don't want to see my bad fruits. I don't have bad fruits. I'm good. I'm perfect. I'm this perfect tree. I'm doing everything. Everybody else can see my faults and see my bad fruits, but I'm blind to my own. That's why Jesus said, pluck out first the beam that's in your eye that blinds you from seeing the bad fruits in other people. First, pull out whatever sins that are causing us to give the fruits of death to ourselves and to everyone around us. And then we can help pull out that little teeny thing that's in someone's eye. Because we're not blind, you have to see well to take out something without hurting. But you still see it. It doesn't say like, oh, it still hurts. Whatever's in the little splinter in your eye still hurts. It irritates very much. There's a little eyelash in there, it hurts. And little dust in the eye, sand, hurts. Little bit, irritates. So what a nice thing if someone can help me get that out. But it has to start with me. I have to start and look at it. So look at your lives. How many years have you lived? What are the fruits you have to leave? What have you done? We will be judged on our fruits. We will be judged by God on what we have done. And it's all evident. It's all clear. Either we have a lot of fruits, we produced a lot, or not. What does Jesus say about the tree that doesn't? Also, he says, well, I'm going to fertilize it. And then, if it gives fruits, I'm going to give it 3 years to try to give fruits. So, today, God's fertilizing you, saying, okay, I'm giving you fertilization, I'm giving you my body, my blood, my word, to help give you fertilization so your tree can start giving fruits. Take advantage of it. Because if not, what does he say? He's going to cut it down. It's taking up space. And throw it in the fire. Hell. Fear hell. Every day, fear hell. Now, one of the ways of helping ourselves to give good fruits and to not give in to the passions of the body is helping other people. So when I try to help you be holy, you try to help me be holy. When you try to help your children, your husbands, your wives, your parents to be holy, it helps you be holy. And there are fruits in that, because as you help people be holy, and when you die, some of the fruits you will see are the people you saved from hell by sharing the Catholic faith with them. I'm telling them that sin was sin and that they were going to hell if they don't get out of it. There's a woman who, she'd never been told that way. She's living married but not in the church. And I told her, you die now, you go to hell. And it shook her up. She got married. Her husband had her the marriage. He had an experience of God at the marriage. He is now loving, kind. Before he drank, was mean, never showed affection. We're all changed. So, there's a fruit. When I die, there will be a fruit. When you die, the people you've helped save, the people you've influenced, your children, your friends. Now, it will be hard to bear good fruit because the body wants pleasure. It doesn't want to produce. It costs. It takes energy of a tree to give fruits. Okay? So the natural thing is to not to give fruits. So we have to ask God's grace in the Holy Communion, in prayer, in humility, asking God, give me the strength to bear good fruits. And the whole world will go against you when you're trying to bear fruits. But when you're dead, it won't matter. The world won't be there. As I said, the enemy, the devil, the world. The world is against you bearing fruit. And so, but the world won't be there in heaven. Only you will be rewarded for the beautiful things you did while you were alive. That will be what matters. God will be there and say, come, good, faithful servant. Welcome into the kingdom. Reign with me. You were in heaven. Won't matter what the world said to you, or what the flesh said to you, or the devil said to you. No, what mattered was what Jesus said to you, and did you respond? So this week, let's look at, maybe think ahead today, right today. Because what happens is just tomorrow will be another day and another day. We're just the same old thing until we die. and we have nothing to show. But wasted time, and I always say the whole fruits that most people will leave after they die is garbage. Tons of garbage. Every day we produce tons of garbage. That's the only fruits we're producing. No, we got a plan today. You need to sit down and think, or kneel down and think, how am I going to live this week, this coming? What can I do to use my body, my life, to produce good fruits for God? And how nice it is when you have those good fruits in your family, in your soul, in your church. So wonderful the fruits that Father Science is producing in this parish. So beautiful. The greatest fruits that I see in this parish, I haven't seen in so many other parishes, conversions. All these different organizations and groups all over that are this and that and this and that. I don't see conversions. People just go on the same, sinning, dressing immodest, acting wrong. No fruits. But in this parish, I see great fruits. I see, because I hear confessions all the time, 4 times a week. But you can see the people that are really involved, like in the Latin Mass, in groups, that are really making a difference. You see, you tell the difference in their confessions. The fruits are different. So we're blessed to be in this parish. We're blessed to have God helping us, God giving us the graces, offering us life. As it says, so you have to choose. The Old Testament says, I put before you life or death. Choose life. But most of us choose death because we like pleasure. And so it says here, same thing. Paul says, for the end of these things is death. But now set free from sin, become slaves of God. That you have your fruit unto sanctification, and as you end, life everlasting. He's offering life everlasting. Yeah, you get a little pleasure in this world. Yeah, you're big. You can be an ego. I'm going to do what I want. Father's wrong. The New Testament, Jesus is old-fashioned. I can do it. Okay. But your way won't last everlasting. We're here at Mass today to receive Jesus, who gives us life everlasting. But it has to come about from us going, yes, Jesus, you're smart, you're right, I'm weak, my flesh is weak, but I am going to give my life, my soul, my body, my time, my money, everything I have for you, so you can bring good fruits through me. Nomini Patris et Filii